What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Alpha Bravo podcast, where we discuss all things real estate. Whether you're a complete beginner or you have some experience, we'll share some tips and stories to help you succeed. I'm your host, Eric.
And I'm your host, Freddie.
And today we have a killer in the industry in our Charlotte market here. He's done some wholesaling. He's done some fix and flips. He's done some new construction. He's got all this stuff he's got going on, along with building a family as well. Please welcome one of our good friends, Kendric Ivey. Let's go.
Appreciate
Nice
y'all,
to
man.
have you,
Appreciate
bro.
y'all.
Nice
Yes, sir.
to meet you.
Thanks for
Yeah,
having me,
dude,
guys.
we're excited to have you on, man. I know we've been kind of following your journey a little bit, and you're honestly someone that I look at being where you're at in your life right now. At such a young age, you're fucking killing it, man. You're fucking killing it, and you're an inspiration to a lot of us who are, I know myself in particular. I got started in real estate not necessarily late in life, but later. But for the people that don't know you, talk a little bit about what you do right now and kind of what got you started into real estate.
Yeah, 100%. So, name's Kendric Ivey. I'm a father, business owner. So, run a wholesale business with my partner. And then we scaled into new development after taking some losses and flips and stuff and just learning throughout the industry. But we started back in 2022. I remember January 1st, I was sitting in the seat learning what wholesale was for the first time. I was like, just mind blown of like what the opportunity could present. So essentially like worked for someone as an acquisition manager for a few months before scaling up and starting a business with my business partner. And since 2022, we've just kind of grown this thing out, like doing wholesale, did flips, and now entering new development and just looking to see, where that takes us. I've got a few builds in the pipeline completed and then a few in the pipeline on the way. So
That's what's up, man. That's a lot in, 2 years?
In 2 years.
Yeah, 2
Let's
years.
go, man. I love when I see action being taken, bro. Like,
Right.
when I see an investor's like, I could tell you everything you need to do, but if you do any action, then you're
Right.
not gonna do anything. But you, bro, action. So kudos to you. I'm excited for this episode. You bring tons of knowledge that you learned in this 2 years. 2 long, short years.
Right.
Yeah.
Feels like a
Real
lifetime.
estate, real estate feels like a lifetime. Couple cycles in real estate there. So I'd love to unpack everything that you have right now, man.
For sure.
100%.
For sure. So wholesaling was 1st, and you kind of got your feet wet with that. What was like the spark to like even start wholesaling?
Right. So I was actually doing something called rental arbitrage in 2021, which was like my first entrepreneurial venture. I was taking corporate leases and like I would go to an apartment and get my LLC like signed so that I could re-rent that apartment back out on Airbnb. And I was doing that and it was like creating cash flow enough for me to like not have to work a job. So I was doing that with a couple units. I had one in Tampa, I had 2 here in Charlotte, then like converted it to midterm. So I was getting my feet wet with learning like how to be a landlord, but I wasn't owning the property. I wasn't building any equity. I was just having pretty good cash flow. And I was in a mentorship group for that community. And like 3 or 4 people like kept telling me like, oh, you're in North Carolina? Like you got to connect with Max Maxwell. And I just kept hearing the name. Obviously, I was like, who is this Max Maxwell guy? So December of 2021, I looked at his YouTube and that was like, whoa. I was like, this is way different than what I'm doing. How do I start immediately? So like I literally hopped in my car like watching his videos and just said, let me try out this drive for dollars thing.
While watching the
Like while watching it,
Yeah.
like,
Go try it.
literally just driving around. I was like, all
Let's
right, I don't
go.
know what I'm doing, but he said, go look for a beat up house with bushes. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna go find it and write the address. So that was like what opened my mind to it. And then I just knew, I was like, I don't know if it's something like I'll be good at or if I'm passionate about, but I know that this is like an easy way for me to get started without a lot of cash, not a lot to my name, and get in here and make a lot of money. So I just pulled the trigger and said, let me start. And that's kind of, what I segued into.
That's
I
what's
love
up.
that. Max, go ahead.
No, I love the arbitrage because that's a strategy,
Yeah,
right? That's an investment strategy. It's crazy how you started doing this before you even knew you was in real estate. You was
Right.
already making money in real estate.
Right.
Arbitrage is a great strategy. So, how was your first deal? Do you remember your first deal in real estate? They actually, this was my first deal in real estate.
Right. So there's like, I call it like 2 different versions because there was one when I worked for someone and I was like paid as an acquisitions manager. That took 3 months to get to. It was like just a long process of like back and forth on the phones, like trying to prove to myself that it was even real. And then when I got to that one, it was like a smaller check, like $5,000, but just seeing that money that I made from closing a deal was huge. But then like my first deal as my own company with my partner, obviously even bigger. Like we worked to find a deal. Angie actually brought it to us. It was an on-market deal. It was listed by some heirs. They had nothing. They didn't want anything to do with it. Needed some heavy work. it was listed at like 300,000, and we ended up getting them under contract at 230,000. So it was a huge discount that we got, and then we ended up assigning it for like 255. First one closed, and like just seeing that money hit was like life changing. It was the biggest check I ever got, and I was like, that was crazy. Like, can we do this again? I was texting Angie like, yo, when's the next one? Like, do you see any more? Like,
I need more of those.
We need more of those. So that was the first deal, and that experience is surreal. Like, you'll never forget the first deal. Like, it's just one of those moments. It's like, I believed in myself. I bet on myself. It worked. And like, now I want to continue to go and do more. And we've made so many more deals since then, but it still doesn't hit like that first one. Just like that. Yeah. That feeling inside is unmatched.
I feel like that's a proof of concept.
Yeah.
Proof of concept. I had the same feeling when I did my first flip. I don't know if I'm going to make money in this one, but this is what YouTube is telling me to do. So let me do it. And when I sold the flip, I made money. I'm like, oh, proof of concept. It's a wrap. I want to keep doing this.
Right.
It works. Obviously, it works. It's amazing feeling. The
course.
first deal, man. You remember your first deal?
Yeah. So I got it off a Bandit sign. So I put some Bandit signs out in Kannapolis, and it was a small trailer that someone was looking to get rid of. I bought it for like $13,000 and sold it for $26,000. But it took me like 7 or 8 months just to get that deal.
Yeah.
Because I was doing the same thing. Like Max Maxwell, I was gonna bring this up, was one of the first YouTube videos I watched about wholesaling as well.
Right.
So because of him, Nas, some of those people, that's who I was watching. I was like, okay, like they were making it make sense. And it was actionable steps that, a lot of people can go out and do. You don't have to have a master's or even a bachelor's degree. It's like, if you got the will to do it, you can go out there and make money, right? And so that's one of the good things about wholesaling and real estate in general. I think there's so many different avenues you can go. So you started wholesaling. You did a couple flips.
Yeah.
I know even as of recently, you got to have been posting some really amazing content about not only wins but some losses that you had, right? Mm-hmm. Talk about one of the losses that you had with the fix and flips, or yeah.
Well, lessons. We don't
Lessons.
lose.
Lessons.
I say losses. I say losses because I wanted to bring that up because it is a lesson,
of course,
and that most people on Instagram are just showing their wins, right? And so like the fact that you guys are openly saying, hey, we lost this kind of money on this deal, and then showing what you guys learned from it, like that's amazing content.
100%.
And so tell us about one of those deals.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge part of the game. Like if you don't take those L's, like that's the best experience, right? Outside of mentorship, you can obviously pay and avoid a lot of those things, which we were starting to do at that time, but we just got ahead of ourselves, just moving quick. Like you guys said, it's been 2 years and it feels like a lifetime already. It felt like a lifetime a year and a half ago, and we thought we were like more advanced than what we were. Like we had a lot of wholesales that were going well for us. So when a flip opportunity came, it was like we had this house in High Point, and we're like, this is easy. Like it's a $40,000 purchase. We even were, sent it to one of our mentors. He's like, it's $40,000 house. It's really hard to lose on something like that. Just make sure everything is good, you know? And I think even then, he was trusting us to know a little bit more than what we really did. But anyways, we basically tried to flip a house. We raised money for it. We purchased it. We had all these people confident in us, and we started a flip project that was, a full renovation. I mean, we walked through the house. The floor was wavy, which is like one of the biggest red flags. Like if you got foundation issues, something's wrong. Yeah. And we still just were like, we're good. Like it's normal. It's not too bad. We walked it with a contractor who gave us more confidence, and he was like, this is easy. I can bang all this out for $40,000. So long story short, we get started with that project after raising the $40,000 to purchase it. Got 2 investors on board that are super confident in us, and we start flipping that house with that contractor. We're sending him money. He's getting some work done. He's got things going on at home. He's got a few different guys that he's bringing to projects. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. And then one day we get a call that I was in my gut had a feeling that we may have, and he called and said, hey, I can't continue on with this project anymore. Like I can't. I got too many things going on.
What do you mean? Like come fix my house.
Just stop, right? Money's been paid, money's been spent. I'm like, exactly. Like, what do you mean you can't finish? Well,
right.
I got health issues, just had a baby. I got guys that aren't showing up. I just cannot do anything else with this house anymore. I can't. So what do you do when you get that call and you're in this huge renovation and you've raised all this money and your contractor just quit?
Well, first of all, we're going rage. I'll be mad. I'll be pissed for the first 10,
crazy
15
on him
minutes.
right now.
Yeah.
10, 15 minutes. That's how much I allow myself. Because I come back down, right? I get my head cool, walk out. But at first, I go rage. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, bro, you're messing with my kid's food now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly
I
what
boil
it
it
is.
down to that. You're messing with my kid's food now.
Yeah.
It's not your pocket. It's my pocket. But other than that, bro, just we have a problem. Let's solve the problem. Bring somebody else.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you guys? I'm not
Curious.
waiting to see what you guys think.
Yeah, what'd you guys
Yeah.
do?
So like obviously we're entrepreneurs, right? We're
Yeah.
thinking, how do we solve the problem? That wasn't his thought process. His thing was like, yo, I did everything I could. I'm tapped. Like I'm not going back to the property, basically. So I mean, me and Christian, my business partner, sat down and we had to have a tough conversation. It was like, yo, like, what do we do? Like we have all this money in. We're like trying to rerun numbers. Like no other contractors gonna come in and work after someone's work. It's just all these factors. So we reached out to someone who we thought was trusted and could take care of us, and it only sunk the ship even more. We basically had a guy come in and take advantage of us because we didn't know the processes that well, had us doing things out of order, had us spending more money. Just thinking that we were going to be good with him and trusted.
Yeah.
Whole time, it was a profit thing for him. So, after a while, we realized like, yo, we are diving so much more deeper into this. Like we've spent like almost 80 grand worth of stuff. We got holding costs from the private money we raised. Like we are in under our head. So at that time, we did what we knew was best to do, which was like, let's just exit now, cut our losses, and get out of this thing. So we fire sold it, $35,000. Like after like closing fees and stuff like that, we barely made like $30,000 basically, and we had to pay back what we raised plus all the other debt.
Right.
So we spent, the next couple months trying to figure out what life was even going to look like, because on paper we had a $60,000 loss in front of us. But that was the best thing that could have ever happened to us, because that opened up everything for us. Like
You get pushed in the corner,
harder.
right? It sounds like I will feel like I'm in the corner now. Shit, I just started my business. 60K loss is a lot of money in the first flip that we're doing. So I'm in the corner. So, I think that's when the true entrepreneurship comes out from everybody.
Yeah.
When you push into the corner. So what are you gonna do? You're just gonna get in the knee and just crawl up and start crying. I've done that.
Right.
Or you gotta get up and do it. I've done it with the electrician, bro. Like sometimes it's get headache, man. It's like, oh man, but you gotta get up, put your big boy pants up, and keep going, man. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And it was just like back against the wall. It's like, what do we do? Like we can't. The last thing we're gonna do is raise money from anybody and they not get paid back plus what we told them they were gonna get. So that was like our focus right away. Like it was bigger than anything. Whether we had to go and get W-2 jobs. Like I remember me and Christian were talking one night and she's like, I don't know if like we need to bartend at night or like whatever we need to do. And I was like, I'm with you. Like I got you. Like whatever we got to do to get these people's money back, we're all in. Now, of course, the smarter route was just go back and wholesale and grind it out.
Right.
Which is what we did. Like that loss on paper was January of 2022. And February of 2022, we had our first 6-figure month in wholesale. So like we grinded, went out, did everything we needed to do to get more deals, and literally like paid back a bulk of that then. Now it took months to get like every last penny paid back because we paid the return plus profit still.
Even you guys did not make any profit.
We lost everything. So we had to go and pay them what what they were owed in that timeline. They walked away still happy. And at the end of the day, like I can call both of those investors and they can say, hey, like it didn't go well for you, but it went well for me. And that was the biggest thing. So we cut that loss. But again, like the lesson in it was like, now we know so much more. Like it made us want, flipping alone was like such a headache. It was like, what else could I start looking into? And right around that time, Nas had posted a guy in Charlotte that did new construction. And he was like, he's about to start a mentorship group. So we went and did that and was like, I was like, I think we need to get into new construction. So like that opened up everything because it's like, now I know what I did wrong on that property that I can go back and do going forward, which in return has allowed us to make far more money, overanalyze things far more so that we make way better deals and not put ourselves in a position of risk where we can lose $60,000.
Dude, I love that whole story, man. It really, those type of stories is what people don't understand. I mean, you will face some hard times like that.
Yeah.
But when your back was up against the wall, you grinded through it. You paid back your investors plus their interest. Yep. That's huge. You didn't just say, "Hey, sorry guys, we messed up." It's no. We're gonna make this right. Yeah, it was a big learning lesson for us, but we're gonna make sure you still get paid. and now they're still lenders, investors to this day. So that's one of the reasons why we're like, hey, we got to have you on the podcast because of just your character and the grit that you have to make things happen. That's a perfect segue into private money. Private money is a big thing in the real estate industry, especially if you're growing and scaling into a lot of different projects. What's some of the ways that you've raised some of your private money, and how can other people learn from that?
Yeah. So that first deal that we raised private money from was a combination. Like I said, it was two different investors. So Christian had a guy that believed in her, just like through the mentorship group, saw her hustle. We were talking to our mentor at the time, Austin, who taught us everything about private money. And it was such an easy segue for us to go ahead and say, hey, like, we got a project going on. Can you lend? That guy had about $20,000 that he could do. And then one of my good friends was a big YouTuber, or is a big YouTuber. And I said, hey, like, same thing. Like, you can come earn a return on your money that you aren't, it's literally sitting in your bank account earning nothing. I was like, what if you could come earn a double-digit return investing it with us? Now, obviously, his first time in, he was like, no, like,
it's
that
hard-earned
sounds
money.
way too risky, super analytical.
This is your first time doing the fix and flip.
First time doing
raising money.
Yeah,
first time for both.
Raising money. Yeah,
Let's
first
go.
time both. So she had raised 20 from him. We got about 40,000 from him, and it was just like it was a big ask when you haven't on paper, you don't have much to show. But they believed in us. Like, they saw the vision, they saw our hustle. So he was able to say, you know what? Like, after overanalyzing it, making sure he was protected, making sure he had his, the promissory note, all the things in place that protect you, lending in real estate. He was like, all right, let's do it. And we got that first wire. So that was like the first thing, first proof of concept. And then we lost that money, like I said, and we got it back. So it was a proof of concept that, hey, like, even if we lose, we've shown people we can get their money back regardless. So not only are you protected by real estate, but you're protected by somebody who doesn't care what happens. Like, you will get your money back. Yeah. And that has been like a story that I've been able to leverage, in the beginning as I was raising more money. But a lot of private money that we've raised so far has literally been people that believed in us and saw the vision because we didn't have a huge track record under us. So we're able to go to him and say, like, hey, like, we have a great deal locked up. Now it's just our job to educate a person on, like, what it really looks like to invest privately, because a lot of people just don't understand it, and they don't know how to protect it, and they don't know how the returns work. And that's really what the big hiccup is. But if you can kind of say to someone, like, hey, like, this is what it looks like. You're lending us money. You're protected by a hard asset, which is not like most investments. And your money is, normally it's not earning this much in the return. It's not earning 12, 14, 15%, returns in any industry or any market or any opportunity. So just providing that and letting them know, like, this is an opportunity, not an ask. Like, I'm giving you the opportunity to earn that return.
Let me hold 100,000.
Yeah,
I'm giving you that opportunity to earn that much. That's a huge shift. So, like, I think the biggest mental hurdle to get over is just, like, you're not going to make an ask, you're going to provide an opportunity. And when you go at it with that mindset, even when people say, hey, this isn't a good fit for me, it's a good fit for someone because they want to earn more money. Right. And that's what's been working for us.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you can make 10, 12, 15% lending out money. Whereas, if you're just an investor, let's say in the S&P 500, your average return is 7 to 9%, something like that annually. So if you can, get in the double digits, that, for a lot of people, we're like, yeah, sign me up. And especially if it's someone that understands real estate too. And then they're like, okay, you're buying at this amount, you got this amount. And even if something was to go wrong, there's still a huge spread to where, we're still safe, and so, I love that mindset shift that you're providing an opportunity instead of going at it like can you give me money, like nervous about it and everything. It's a huge mental shift. So I love that. I love that.
It shows on your investors that they trust you too. So you go in based on that relationship more than the asset. Yeah, anybody could run numbers, but can you trust the person, the driver driving this entire operation? So they put their trust in you, and in return, yes, I agree with you. Let's pay these dudes because that's top priority one before I even make any cent. Yeah. I want to pay my investor because they put their trust in me. So that's a great way to handle yourself and also handle as an entrepreneur and as a wholesaler. Because we know here in the wholesaling space, there's a lot of people that will borrow money and they don't know what they're doing. And
they mismanage it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed your money and you go ahead, sue me.
Yeah.
That's when
it's bad.
Horror stories start coming out.
Yeah.
Right. So wholesaling, fix and flipping, private money. Now you're focusing more on new construction. So what's that transition been like with the new construction, new builds? Like, what kind of help have you had with that? Like, tell us some more about the new construction side.
Yeah. So on the new construction side, I'm obviously, y'all know I'm huge on relationships, right? So I had always kind of been watching out for the guys in that space, trying to see like who was the players, who's doing what. And a guy named Hunter Church obviously caught my eye like 2 years ago before we were even doing anything. Like, he was posting some stuff, but wasn't really posting that much at the time. But I just knew like he was in a different market than most of us, like in the North, Kannapolis, Concord, and just throwing up builds that, looked fire. And I was like, who is this guy? Like, I'm following him. I'm gonna stay in tune with him and see what he's doing. So fast forward into when we started to like push to get into new construction, we obviously started sourcing for land out there. So I was like, hey, if we find some land, would you maybe partner with us to do a build? And he's like, yeah, 100%. Like, go find the land. That's the hard part. So we went out and were looking for land, really couldn't find anything, but finally got an opportunity where like a trailer came up. It had utilities. It was at a great price. And I'm like, hey, does this work? And he's like, he ended up telling us, he's like, I didn't even think you guys would get the deal at that number. So once we got it, it was us adding value to a GC who already has all the construction side mapped out. All we had to do was go out and find a deal. And then we also raised money as well. But being able to take the skill set of wholesaling, finding land, and just have relationships included with that was like, hey, like, let's go and partner with the guy that has it all figured out. We'll bring our value to it, and then we'll learn from him. So, like, that was our first intro of, like, really breaking down, doing a build. And it's opened up a bigger relationship, which was like, hey, like, he liked how everything worked to where the factor he's like, let's make a partnership out of this. So now we get to add a seasoned general contractor to our belt where we're not as stressed and concerned about the construction. We're just in a place where we're learning and knowing that, he's got systems in place that will take care of us. We just got to keep implementing, keep doing the work ourselves. And I mean, the partnership alone has allowed us to scale up because like now I can focus on what I'm good at, which is building relationships, finding great land deals, raising money. Christian can focus what she's great at. Operations, making sure we're in order. Like, I mean, she is literally the operations of pretty much every business she touched. She runs the businesses. So she can continue to do that. And Hunter can do what he loves most, which is throw up great houses. And together, like, we've formed this new partnership. We've got like 6 different lots right now, 6 different builds going. So hefty pipeline, but we got big vision, big goals. So it's like, how do we blow this thing up? So, as you asked, like where we're going, like it's like, how can we get to 50 builds together? Well, it's a partnership like this where, somebody can focus in kind of each lane and we can scale in markets that we touch our builds in.
Amazing, bro.
That's awesome. So
that's what's up. It's looks like all the operators in there and then under space where they perform the best. Your operations manager, go ahead, do your thing. So remember what we do over here, when we first got together, it was like, what do you like to do? Okay, go ahead, do that.
Yeah.
I don't like to do this. Oh, I like to do that. So that's kind of, we share roles or things. But it's dope that everybody's in there, but now there's only 3 of you guys.
Yeah.
That's the
thing. So that's how our partnership is set up for the new construction side. So we obviously, me and Christian still have our wholesale operation as of right now. But we also now have this new construction beast that we just want to feed.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and that works hand in hand because you can market and find these lots from the wholesaling side of it, and then just sell it to now the new construction.
Exactly.
And so now you're working both companies can profit because they work hand in hand.
Which, while you mentioned that sidebar mistake we just made, we just got, like I said, we have like 6 other lots. What we were doing was we were just getting the lots under contract and just closing it and then moving it over, obviously, to that entity without wholesaling it over. So if I could go back and save somebody from making that mistake, yes, wholesale a deal to yourself. Like you can lock it up and create a spread, decent enough to feed the wholesale operation.
Right.
We
Get the
looked
lights
at,
on.
Yeah, we looked at paper and I'm like, I was like, imagine if we wholesaled all these lots. Like, we're talking about 6 figures in profit that could have hit our account that didn't. Like, we don't need to wholesale it for that much to ourselves, obviously, but we need to like give something to feed the company and keep the lights on. Because then we were like, well, this is growing really well, but then the wholesale business feels like it's dwindling down. So it's just like that little thing of just wholesaling it to ourselves could have saved us. Which now, obviously, we're going forward. We're doing that.
I love that. So have you switched up any of your marketing that you're doing in the wholesaling side to like focus more on land?
So that's what we're in right now, because it's like, how can we find more of what we're looking at? Like, we've always done cold call and only done cold call, which isn't like the best thing. I was telling someone the other night, I was like, I don't even know what an inbound lead feels like. So, you know,
dude, whenever you get it, you're gonna love it, because it's just so much more relief, because you're starting the conversation off like they're coming to you, right?
Right, not me going to them.
But yeah, so continue with the cold calling. So what's going on there?
Yeah, so that's where the bulk of these leads have come from so far. We did raise one from social media, so that's another thing we're going to start doing, is just continuing to grow our brands and letting people know what we're looking for. But as far as like land, you know, we've heard what's worked for others. Obviously, direct mail is something that, you know, in the past was really big. It kind of dwindled down, and now I think we're seeing a pickup in that again. So we're getting our feet wet with that, and then just doing a little bit more inbound in general. But with cold call, like I think it's a source that obviously you keep on. Sometimes it's performing really well, sometimes it's not. Yep. But we're not just looking for land, because a few of those deals have been teardowns now. We've torn out 3 structures, so like if we were solely going for land, we would have never caught those deals. Gotcha. So it's just like the marketing kind of remains the same. Your vision is just widened of what you can look at.
Right.
And like anyways, we're looking at, you know, land and zoning anyways, because the commodity is the commodity. It's sitting there. It could be a house on a lot, but if I could tear the house down and put 14 townhomes, then you know, that's what I need to do. That's the highest and best use.
Yeah. No.
So knowing the zoning, you know, knowing what you can and can't do there, what a new construction house would even sell for. Like, I guess, so if you're looking at a property and let's just say, and you're looking at tearing it down, I mean, what is like, is there like a rough estimate of cost of what it would cost to like remove a house completely and you know, get the land ready for the new build?
Of course. So all the teardowns we've done have been like smaller structures. Thank God, we're like between 600, 800 square feet. So you're looking anywhere between $5,000 and $6,000 on something like that. So we've been able to get great deals by like doing that. Like obviously, if a structure is huge, like 1,800 square feet, now you're looking at a bigger bill. You're pushing, you know, $10,000, $12,000, even $15,000 if it's a huge house.
Right.
So your marketing campaign has not changed. What change has seen your vision of the deals that comes through your pipeline?
Literally, like we've included some more areas that maybe we weren't as, you know, looking into as well. But no, nothing's changed from that standpoint, and it's crazy because it's like some of that stuff was already coming in. We just didn't know how to look at it. Like I'm sure you guys running a wholesale business, we all get a couple leads that come in, and it's just like it's junk to us. Like we don't have anything to do with it. But like the whole time it's just an information gap. Like if a commercial deal comes in and we just pass it by because it's like we don't focus on commercial. No, it's just an information gap. That commercial deal could be a home run, like life-changing deal if we know how to look at it. So now, you know, one of the things my buddy Paul out in Nashville, shout out Paul, he always says chase the whales. So like if a huge opportunity comes in, like, and you can make, you know, life-changing income on it, why not take a little bit of time to focus on that deal versus just passing it by because you don't understand it. And if you don't understand it to the point where it's going to be noise or distract you, network. Go to someone in your network that knows this industry, that knows that type of deal, and send it to them and say, hey, how can we partner on this and how can I learn?
100%. I love that. I love that.
Who, not how.
Who, not how.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. Okay, so with the new construction, the reason I want to ask about the teardowns, because for other wholesalers that watch this, you know, you want to be able to factor that into, you know, your buyer. If your buyer is looking at tearing down and building, you want to factor that $5,000 to $10,000 or whatever that cost is. That way, you know, you present, if they come to you and say, hey, I have this lot under contract, you know, if a wholesaler comes to you and says, hey, this is what, you know, I think it's worth, this is what you can build on, I've already subtracted the cost from the tear down, you're gonna be like, dude, this is everything I need, you know, like, and that's an easy decision for you as a buyer can make, because one thing that a lot of wholesalers forget is, you know, they don't put themselves in the shoes of the buyer, and so like if you do all this legwork ahead of time and then you basically wrap it all up and give it to the buyer, they're gonna be like, thank you, let's do more deals together because you're making it easy for me. So
there's a huge hole in the industry with people knowing how to wholesale land or just how to analyze land in general.
Right.
So you're right. Like a lot of wholesalers will lock up land and it's like it's nothing you can do with it. It doesn't have utilities. It doesn't have access or road frontage. Like all these small things. And I encourage wholesalers to obviously try to learn, and then the next question is like, where do we even go to?
Right.
So then you look and it's like, well, dang, there's a limited, availability of information for this.
Right.
So I'm encouraging more wholesalers to reach out to us to say, hey, like, we'll set up time. Like, let's go sit down. Let's run a meeting. Like, let me show you how to look at land so you can factor these costs. Because, you can't just lock up land at, 20% of a new construction and then go to a buyer and say, hey, can you buy it for this?
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. You do have to factor in, like, fees are expensive. That's one thing we've learned. Like,
the tap-in fees?
Yeah, tap-in fees. Like, there's a fee. It feels like there's a fee for everything.
There's a fee for a fee.
It feels like it's a fee for looking at the UDO. Like, oh, you looked at the UDO? That's a fee, right?
Yeah.
So there's all these little fees that, like, if we could continue to just be transparent and show people, like, what we're going through, I think they'll, get better at the numbers. But if you're wholesaling, there's such a huge opportunity to turn on and make so much more money just wholesaling land and houses that you're skipping over because you don't think there's margin there. No, there's margin there. You just got to go back and learn how to deduct it. So that's one of the things that I'm being, pushed for right now is like, how can I teach more wholesalers what we're looking for? I tell people to shoot me DMs. I tell people, let's jump on calls, but you got to factor in, how it is to get pad ready. Right. When people say like 20% of new construction,
let me stop there.
That's
Sorry.
pad ready.
So pad ready. What does that mean, pad ready?
Pad ready means a builder doesn't have to do anything else but go in there, call his foundation guy and say, hey, like, we're ready to go. Let's go get footers dug. Okay. So that's pad ready. So you need to make sure your lot is flat, it's clear, it's graded, it has access to the land, and it has access to utilities. Like, you have to make sure all these things are in place. Like, if you brought me a completely wooded lot, sewers down the road, it doesn't even reach my property, and you're trying to sell it to me at retail price, that's not going to work. Yeah. So you have to make sure those things are in place, and you go through it by getting the reps. But the best thing you can do is, as a wholesaler, is like, if you're nervous and even locking it up, reverse wholesale it. Yeah. Say, hey, like, where do you need to be to buy land? So you can go out and find the buyers first. So you can come to us and say, what do you look for in land? I'll tell you exactly what we're looking for. And then you come back to us and say, hey, like, I know this is the area. I know what this is your buying criteria. I got it at this price. Now we'll buy it.
Nice.
Dude, that's amazing, man. You've given us a lot to even think about as well. I mean, from our perspective of utilizing you guys as buyers now for land and things like that, and other wholesalers also. So I really appreciate you coming on here, shedding this knowledge. It's been super, super helpful. I think there's gonna be a lot of gems that people can get from here. Yep. So we'll kind of wrap it up there for today. But where can people find you? Where you at?
Where can they send your lots?
Yeah, where can they send you some deals?
Yeah. So I tell everybody, hit me on Instagram because that's the best platform for me. I can see your face. I'm really good at remembering faces. Ken_the_connect. That's on all platforms: Facebook, Twitter, everything. But yeah, that's the best place to hit me. Just shoot me a DM if you got a deal. If you are trying to figure out how to wholesale, or you just want to learn more about land, more than happy to spend time teaching you guys what I know, so we all can win together.
I love it. I love it. Well, Ken, thanks again for coming on, man.
Yes,
Wish you luck in 2025. We're excited for that. And until next time, man.
Until next time, guys.
See you guys.
Peace. All right.